So somebody posted on the forum the other day, a little discussion broke out about the odd or unusual staking that I tend to have when you look at my videos. And I thought I'd do a proper video to explain the logic behind the way that I stake in a lot of videos. If you're interested in learning to trade on Betfair, then visit the BetAngel Academy, where you have detailed, structured Betfair trading courses. Or why not visit our website where you can download a free trial of BetAngel Professional, but also visit the forum where you can get detailed images, examples, and downloadable files. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon if you want notification of new videos as they're released. So yeah, I'm going to wait a second before I do the reveal, but this top has part of the answer to the way that I stake on videos. But to demonstrate that, I'm going to have to bring it into view, and so I'm going to hide temporarily by not doing that at this particular moment in time. But yeah, if you look at a lot of videos that I do, you'll notice that the stakes go along the lines of 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, or sometimes 2048. And if you look at that, that sort of looks a little bit unusual to start with, but there are a couple of reasons for the way that staking is done. But you need to understand where I sit within the market and the way that I trade in order to understand that as well. So if you're looking at traditional trading, you're going to be putting an order in and out of the market. And when you're actively trading, you need to be able to decide what your stake is going to be. So whenever I turn up to a market, I already have in my mind the limit at which I'm prepared to be able to actively stake to. And the basis on which I do that is down to a couple of key factors. The first one is a certain level of confidence. If I am pretty sure that the trade is going to work, then I will basically be a little bit more aggressive. I will use a larger stake within the market. However, if my uncertainty increases, then my stake comes down. This is a classic way of managing your risk within the market. If you turn up to a market and you just use £100 as your stake and you're doing it in every single market, you're probably not managing your risk correctly, because every market you should be grading according to your ability to read it. So if I see a 10 out of 10 market where I know absolutely, definitely what is going to happen, I mean, you never can, but you can get pretty close, then, you know, if I go down that checklist of things that I'm looking for and it scores very high, then I'll stick a large amount of money on it. If I absolutely know what's going to happen, then I will throw money at it because I'm just waiting for that situation to develop. But also think about it at the other end of the scale. You turn up to market and you haven't got a clue. There will be markets today that I do not know what is going to happen within them, but I have a feeling that I may know. So what I'll do is I'll bring my stake all the way down, because what I'm saying is level of uncertainty high, potential for a loss high, stake low. And the opposite happens in the other direction. Potential for profit high, but understanding of the market high, stake high. And, probability of a loss low, stake high. And in fact, you could probably summarize it that way. Probability of a profit high, stake high. Probability of a loss, actually, no, let's do this the other way around. Probability of a loss low, stake high. Probability of a loss high, stake low. There you go. I've just made that up on the spot, and it will be immortalized in trading history from this point onwards. So yeah, my stake varies according to if I feel that I understand what's going on within the market itself. But also think about it. You know, if it's a Grand National, that's going to do 10 to 15 million pound. If you put £1,000 stake into that market, you know, that's going to have no significant impact anywhere across the entire field of 40 runners. However, if you're trading a race that's only going to turn over 100,000 and you're putting 1,000 into it, you're going to be 1% of the market. But if you put 1,000 into a market of 10 million, that's going to be an absolutely tiny number. And therefore, you don't need to worry from a number of perspectives. The primary perspective that you need to worry about when you're staking is your opportunity to get out. So if the market is weak, I will stake with small amounts simply because I'm more concerned about getting out of a position. You put a position in the market, Sometimes it's a bit more speculative than others. You realize that you've done it wrong, so you need to get rid of that position. If your exit position is much more than the market can tolerate, then you're going to end up pushing the price against you, and you will create your own loss effectively. So you have to stake within the limits of what's available within the market. You can't overstake. And that's why you vary it according to your confidence, but also according to the underlying liquidity. You should be staking much more on a Grand National than you do on a 3-runner seller at Kempton in the middle of November with snow on the ground or something. So yeah, vary it quite dramatically from there. Now, contrary to popular belief, I say popular belief, I don't think everybody believes this, but some people sort of assume that I use very, very large stakes. But as you can see from my videos, that's the way that I trade most races, is that I go into the market with relatively small stakes to make up a slightly bigger one. I would much prefer to do 2 £500 trades than one 1,000. Why? Because you're taking more risk with that one trade of 1,000. So I much prefer to put small stakes into the market and small stakes out of the market. Why do I prefer to do that? That is because I don't want the market to see me. If you put large amounts of money into the market will spot you, it will see you, and it will start to push against your position. And therefore your strike rate, your percentage chance of getting a successful trade falls away. So you tend to put stakes into the market where it's unobvious, where you don't exceed the average amount of liquidity, where people cannot see you. So yeah, I prefer to dribble money in, get a good average entry, and then dribble money out to get a good average exit. I don't go into the market and try and influence it, because if you do that, you end up influencing it against you. The market isn't stupid. If it sees value, it will take it. And if you slapped £100,000 down on something and it was at a price that somebody could arb somewhere, or people knew what the value was, then they will just take it from you. And so that just doesn't work. So I work with inside the liquidity of the market. I'm not interested in trying to attempt to move the market around at all. I prefer that the market has no idea whether I'm in it or not. So yeah, my staking rises and falls, and I tend to do small amounts frequently rather than a large amount in one go. And that tends to be how I trade. And if you do one trade and it's successful, there's no reason why you couldn't do another. So, you're not limited to just, sometimes you can hit high turnover figures, but that's because you're doing more than one trade. It's not that you've just slapped a large amount of money in the market, because that does not work in the longer term. But also, if you look at the top of the screen when you're actively trading, what you'll see is that everything that I have within the market tends to be a multiple of one or another. So it could be 10, 20, 40, 80, and so on. But that allows me to put my position in and out of the market gently, because I could sort of go, £100 5 times, bang, 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 and then exit with £100 here, 200 there, and £50, depending upon my confidence level in terms of where I am within that particular trade. So every stake that I use is a multiple of the prior. And therefore, you will see everything from relatively small stakes up to relatively large stakes, but they're all multiples of each other. And the funny thing is, the question that was asked on the forum the other day is, why am I staking at 2 to the power of? So if you look at my stakes, they go 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, and you can see they're being to the power of 2, which is what's on this shirt. So if you look at this, this is basically a throwback to my very early days in the computing industry, when I learnt to write microprocessor code. A long time ago. It was a Z80 or a 6502 for those of you that are interested. But I had to learn binary, and that's just sort of stuck with me ever since. So 2048, 4096, 8192, 1600, 384, 65536, 131072. I could just go on forever. They're all binary numbers. And I don't use binary numbers all the time, but you do see it frequently on the video. But they're all multiples of each other, and they all add up to odd amounts. I don't like using round numbers where possible, because that sort of sticks out a bit. But also, one of the other factors within it is that when I produce a video, I have to do it in a format that is friendly to people who are using the software for the first time. So I do actually have a version of the software that I will record stuff on. And I've stripped out a lot of the superfluous stuff and the color changes and other things that I've done. And it just happens that that one is set up to stake at powers of 2, basically. So you tend to see that more frequently than you do other stakes, which may be on different machines and so on. But yeah, the key message is that they're all multiples of one another. And the reason that I do that is so that I can scale in and out of a trade according to the level of risk that I'm taking and also the underlying liquidity within the market. So if you want to understand how I stake into the market and the way that I operate within it, there you go.